And once again, good afternoon. I'm Doc Hamels, and you're watching Destination Chautauqua County. And believe it or not, this is the 7th interview that we're doing in a series to bring you live coverage of the candidates that are running for particular offices. Not every office here in Chautauqua County, but those probably more here in the mid and western part of the county, so that you can learn a little bit more about the individuals. You can get to see them smile or look at me weird or laugh or whatever it is. We want these people to come alive, and we've done that right along for the last 6 interviews, and we've had a good time here. So I hope you're enjoying and appreciating the work that the staff did to put these shows together. So with no further ado, I want to welcome Mrs. Ella Ames, who is running for County Legislature in District 18, which is presently held by Mr. Himmeline, correct? So may I call you Ella?
You may.
All right, Ella. So welcome to the show, and today we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about why you want to run for the legislature, and we want to hear some thoughts that you might have on some topics. So Ella, please take some time and tell folks who you are, you know, what you're about, and what experiences bring you to the legislative position.
Okay. I've been a resident of Chautauqua County for 45 years. I was actually born in North Tonawanda, which is a suburb of Buffalo. And I think often about the fact that even though I lived there till I was a teenager, if I were to revisit the school or the area, probably not one person would remember me, or a neighbor would remember me.
What street did you live on?
I lived on Nash Road.
Nash Road.
Yes, which is a pretty long road in North Tonawanda.
My cousins lived on Green, not Field, Green something, Greenville. No, they lived in North Tonawanda. But so I'm from Buffalo originally, so we got some things in common.
Yes.
So you lived in North Tonawanda until you were a teen. Then what happened?
Yes. Moved here to Chautauqua County. I actually lived in the Stockton-Cassadaga area, and then I was living in Fredonia because I was attending Fredonia State and working at a child care center in Fredonia. Then I married and had children and worked at Welch Foods in Westfield.
Did you really? What'd you do there?
8 years I worked in Welch's. I worked on the line, I ran a machine, and then didn't want to just run one machine, so I learned how to drive a lift truck. A lot of people don't know that about me.
I never knew that. I've been saying this every single interview, that I thought I knew everybody I was interviewing, or if I didn't know them, I found out something extremely interesting. I had no idea you worked at Welch's ever.
Well, I worked there for 8 years, and in order to give everyone breaks and not do the same thing all day long, I had to learn to drive lift truck, which was part of the experience. So if you were going to get breaks on the line, you had to drive a lift truck, you had to learn to run all the machines, and I had to palletize boxes in big pallets for most of the day. And then Welch's had, that was a long time ago, remember when Welch's laid off 80 to 100 people, I think?
Right, and they went to Concord, Mass.
Yep.
See, my wife worked for Welch's, but she was in the office at the time with all those folks.
I worked in the factory, and then my whole way through high school and college, and even when I first started teaching, I waitressed. So I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Perkins, I worked at Barcelona Harbor House, and I worked at the Stockton Hotel. I can't even think of all the places that I waitressed or worked. So I do know a lot of people through the county because I've done a lot of jobs and worked in a lot of places. But when I lost my job at Welch's, I decided that it was time for me to go back to college. I had been to college for 2 years, but I really wanted to be a teacher. So I went back to school, got my degree, and so I have been with Mayville, which then became Chautauqua Lake School, for over 30 years.
Wow.
I was a preschool teacher, a kindergarten teacher. Actually, I started out in kindergarten. Then I presented to the board the pre-K program, and they approved it, and I worked at that, running the pre-K program as a teacher for 7 years. Then went back to teaching kindergarten. And then I just think you should keep learning and growing, so I took a class, and then I took another class, and then found myself completing my degree to be an administrator.
You went to the dark side, they told me.
Yes, that's what
I
they
was an
told me.
administrator.
Yes,
They
yes.
said, you left us. You turned on us. It's not true, though.
And I've been a principal at Chautauqua Lake for 13 years.
Wow.
And I've loved every minute of it. I greet every child as they walk in the door, and I always think you never know what kind of experience a child has before they come to school. So
for sure.
I want to greet them with a smile.
And that goes for adults, too. You never know when you're talking to an adult what they're experiencing right then and there. You know, well, you've had an interesting background in your work career because you've been there. You've been where parents are, weren't you? You know what it's like to work hard, and not that you're not working hard now. I mean, I don't mean it that way, but more physical labor, you know, manual labor, and a lot of people don't appreciate that. That's hard work. You know, I remember some of the jobs I had; they were kind of crazy jobs, you know, and made me appreciate my fellow persons around me, that there's noble work in everything, and just because I go to school in, you know, a suit coat doesn't make me any better or any worse than the people who are doing other kinds of work. So we're all in this together, huh?
I always say that I started out working, actually before I moved here, when I was a teenager, I worked at a boys' club cleaning bathrooms and toilets. So I said I started out there and, you know, as an administrator, and I'll never ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
Well, I've never shared this on TV before, but since we're talking right now, it's germane. Is when I was in college, I worked for 4 widows, and I cleaned their houses. I washed their tubs, their toilets. I cleaned under their beds. I washed windows. You name it, I did. That's what put me through college. Plus, I was a rock star, but I never gave up the day jobs for being a musician. But anyways, that's where we often start, and people think that now that we're at certain points in our careers that we've always been there, and that's just not true. You know, none of us were born. Well, most of us were not born with silver spoons.
Right.
And that. So now I heard a rumor that you are this. The principal years are coming to a close. Is that true?
Yes, I'm retiring this
So
year.
I didn't say that word. You said that word. When's this going to happen?
This year. Just around January, end of December.
So just in time to be a county
Yes, just in time to be a
legislator.
counny
perhaps.
legislator, yes,
All right, so
perhaps.
let's go down that road now. So another person I was talking with had just said they had retired from something, and I said, well, most people think when you finish up a career that's time to retire, now it's time to go do things that are not work-related. This is not an easy job, being a legislator or working for government. So why? Why not just go become a whatever? Go paint, go hug trees or something, I don't know.
I feel that I need to give back to the community. I raised my children here. My grandchildren are being raised here. I have worked with a lot of families through my 30 years, and I want to be able to listen and to respect what their wishes are and to be their voice.
Voice for what?
Their voice for, I guess everyone thinks voice for change, and we do need some things changed, but I think that we have a great community, and I want to continue to maintain a great community in our district and throughout our county. We have a great county.
Yes, we do. And I talk about it every week on my show, Chautauqua Sunrise. You know, we have a tendency, and it's just not here, but people have a tendency to beat up themselves and poo-poo their communities. And it's like, why would you do that? It is everything you say. It's a great community. So you want to be the voice for folks. And where is this voice going to go? Where would you say what they want to hear, people hear? I mean, it's at the county level. So what would you do with what they tell you?
I hear, haven't had the position yet, but that they have regular meetings ahead of time before they vote on resolutions, and they have discussions, and they give you all the material to read over so that you can make a
Educated
decision.
Right. So,
Really consider all the angles.
right. And I know they have subcommittees where different economic development, health, blah, 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 all these different things. So I think that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay. So did you just like wake up one day and say, I think I want to run for county legislature, or how did that happen?
There are certain people that have been asking me for a few years if I would be
Obviously
interested.
persuasive people, but not that persuasive.
Yes. I really think that until I thought about retiring, I'm still going to be teaching classes at JCC as I am now, but I would have a little more time because, as you know, an administrator is 24/7, 7 days a week. So
The phone always rings.
yes. So I will have more time, and I then agreed with some of the people that said that I do know, as I said, I've worked in a lot of different jobs. I've even milked cows and.
Wait, but you didn't say anything about that. Where'd you milk cows?
Well, I didn't get paid for it, but I have
You
worked on
just
farms.
went out there just for
so,
the fun of it, huh?
So I feel like I know families in Chautauqua County, and I've listened to a lot of families, being an administrator and being a teacher, and worked with them, and I understand some of the difficulties that people are having right now, and if there's any way that I can help them and make any decisions through being a county legislator, that's what I'd like to do.
Great answer.
I mean, right now, the 4th of July committee, there's like 10 people that plan that whole thing in Mayville, that whole parade and all the activities, and so I can't attend their meetings regularly. So we were trying to figure it out this year, but it's been somewhere between 10 and 15 years now that I go down by the depot early in the morning and I sell balloons and signs. My whole family now has to do that. It's become a tradition. My mom used to drive from Rochester every year so that we can help them out on that one day a year, and basically those are the little things that everyone should be helping with and to help support the community.
And while you're down at the depot, me and the crew are up by the library and we're televising the whole thing. So if I'd known that, I would have yelled out to you. That's a fun day.
It is a fun
I know we have a map of District 18, Chris, so maybe we could pop that up so folks can see the area that we're talking about. So go ahead and tell me, what is District 18? Wow, that's a pretty, is it, what color is it? Is it the green
pretty
one?
large. It's, yes, it's Mayville, which includes Chautauqua, and then Sherman and Mina.
Wow. They redistricted it a while back, and Ripley used to be with Mina and down that area, and now it's gone the other way. This is a very large district. I mean, you're over, you in
Been knocking
DeWittville?
on doors, but there's a lot of doors to knock on. Yes, because it goes all the way up to DeWittville.
Is that one, that's got to be one of the larger districts.
I think so,
I think
but
so.
I
I mean, it's a
don't
lot of land there. All right, so folks, that I wanted them to see what we're talking about here. So, all right. Oh, here we go again. This is yeah. I'd say. Well, the one below you is pretty big too, isn't it? It crisscrosses across Clymer, but there's but not a lot of there's a lot of farmland in there. But still, that is a big district. Thanks, Chris. So you mentioned you want to be the voice for people and represent what they're saying. So what are people saying these days? What are they telling you? What, the folks that want you to run, what would you be representing? What are the topics and things that are on people's minds that you can think of right now?
Actually, most people have just encouraged me to run, and there hasn't been a lot of, I kind of anticipated when knocking at doors that some people would say, well, you have to change this or you have to change that, but most of the people have just said, keep the taxes the same.
There we go.
Keep our lakes and parks. I mean, I don't think that you could be anywhere in the world that's more beautiful than Chautauqua County in the fall.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. And we're so fortunate. If you think about how many state parks we have in our county and how many lakes that we have in our county, and
I'm looking at
so
my notes
obviously
from
the-
this
the
morning.
tourism.
Because we actually had a list of how many state parks are in the county.
You did?
Yeah. I think we ended up with 6, I think we decided. Because there was one in Silver Creek, one in Barcelona, Midway, Lake Erie, Lake Erie State Park, and then the one over on Chautauqua Lake. Maybe there's only 5. It's 5 or
Is
6.
there one in Brockton?
No, that
No?
wasn't listed one. Well, anyways, there's at least 5 anyways that came up, because the lighthouse is now a state park in Barcelona, so. Okay, well anyways,
And
you're
they're all
right.
beautiful. And then there's Lunsman, which isn't a state park, but that's another park too.
Beautiful,
that- So people want to maintain those. Jobs.
What about jobs?
We need more jobs.
What kind of jobs?
I know that when I have attended some of the meetings of the Education Coalition that go on in our county, where the
Justin Hales?
people that are from businesses are working with educators to try to make sure two ways. First of all, to provide childcare and to help the families that are working at these businesses, but also to prepare people to work for these businesses. And sometimes you hear that they're looking for people and there are jobs available, but they don't have the people to fill those jobs. And it does sadden me. I go to a lot of places that still have their help wanted sign. So there are jobs there, but I also think that the type of jobs that we need in this county are changing with technology. Although tourism and restaurants, we're always going to need people. Manufacturing, there's a lot of different manufacturing places that said they're hiring in the future. I keep reading in the paper that more and more of them want to bring their business to Chautauqua County, and I think we need to help them to do that. We have lost a lot of our population. It seems to be smaller and smaller. I know working at a school and talking to all the other people from schools that our number of students have gone down.
Right.
So I think that we need to figure out a way to keep everyone here that we have and to continue to get people to come to Chautauqua County.
Grow it.
I do know that through our tourism and our beautiful parks and lakes and things that we can offer with fishing and boating and snowmobiling, that there are a lot of people that say they've moved here after they have visited us. So I think that tourism and bringing those people
You're exactly
to our
right.
area,
Absolutely right.
once they're here, they like it and they want to stay.
I've known a number of people that have moved into our general area where I live, and it's that very thing. They came to visit some family, or they were just on a road trip and stopped and then never left. You're absolutely right.
And families are changing so much.
Yeah.
The word family doesn't mean what it used to be. The makeup of families are changing. There's a lot of grandparents that are raising children, and a lot of single families, or a lot of different types of families, and we need to support those families. And I believe that children are our future. I really do.
So when you say support these folks or these initiatives, as a county legislator, what would you do? How does that work in your mind?
Well, because I've only been to 2 meetings and only read the notes from a few of these meetings, I'm not exactly sure of all the changes that we can make as county legislators, but I know that anything that came through that was an idea that would help our community as far as businesses or tourism or any type of growth or opportunity, I would definitely endorse that and
Right.
help that.
And sometimes when it comes down to a vote at whatever government organization or municipality, if it's a 5 and 5, that 11th vote can make or break an initiative, right? So you could be that vote, couldn't you? You talked about jobs, and I think that's always a subject for most folks these days. But one of the issues that I know of in Chautauqua County, and it's just not here, but I do know I've been told from time to time that there are people that are available to work, but the problem is that somewhere, and again, I mentioned this earlier, don't quote me, but it's somewhere in the range of 50% of applicant pool can't get the jobs because they can't pass the drug test. So what's your thoughts on the drug situation in Chautauqua County? It's everywhere, but what do you
It
think?
is everywhere.
But this is our home. This is our town. What do you think?
I think drug addiction is one of the worst issues that we face in the world today. And it's been a problem, sadly enough, and it's probably always going to be a problem, but right now it really does seem to be on the rise. There's too many people using drugs, too many people dying from using drugs, and it's so sad. I was just reading something recently about certain places in our county that not only get drugs from the bigger cities, but even other countries are coming here to Chautauqua County with their drugs.
Really?
And
I've
that
never heard that
is just
before.
so sad.
Wow.
And I also just heard recently that out of 75% of the county's 360 Child Protective Service investigation involve drug use by parents.
Wow. So it is an epidemic,
And
isn't
we
it?
do have programs in our county. We have really good programs in our county. I just feel that a lot of people don't know them or can't access them because most of the programs are based in Dunkirk or in Jamestown, and sometimes people can't get to those places. Sometimes people don't know that those exist. We have people, I think, that start out in high school or in college or younger that experiment with maybe a less addictive, and then they take a little stronger drug to get a bigger high, and then they're taking more and more drugs, and then they become addicted. And also we have people that it's for a medication. It's, you know,
Yeah,
maybe
it's supposed to be a
doctors
good
haven't
thing to
even,
start with, yeah.
right, that doctors prescribe a medication and maybe don't tell them that it's addictive, or maybe even though they know, they don't really see the seriousness of it, and then it's too late.
There's a breakdown somewhere in there. Here's a statistic that I know is fact, because it was in the papers, it was reported at the county level. All the counties were surveyed somewhere along the line, and all the reports went in. And Niagara Falls was number 1, as I recall, and Chautauqua was number 2 for the highest rate of children born addicted to an opioid. So, you taught preschool and kindergarten, that has got to be like an overwhelming statistic, knowing that in 4 years you're going to have children that at one time were born addicted. So, county level, what are we missing? In your mind, I mean, we all don't have the solution, I don't think, but what do you think we should be doing? How can we help the situation?
I think education, I know that all the schools are now doing more and more programs for children, and I know one, CASIC is one organization that is coming into, I believe they're in 36 schools now, and we're educating students younger and younger on not letting your peers influence you on your decisions and making the right decisions and informing. Some people feel that you shouldn't inform them younger, but they really need to know how serious it is before it becomes an issue. And then I think that we do need more programs. I know of people personally that would go to a program, but sometimes, and I'm not sure because I don't know why, but they'll go to a program and then they'll release them before they really have solved it.
Could be insurance, could be personal choice, it could be they need to get home. Yeah, they're not finishing the program.
Right.
So you mentioned that you felt that people couldn't access some of these programs because they were like in the cities and they might live in the rural areas. So what would we do about that at the county level? You got any thoughts on that? And if you don't, that's okay, because I know that sometimes until you sit down and tackle the problem.
Until I'm a county legislator, I don't know what how the county legislator can affect change, but I'm really hoping that maybe there's something that hasn't been thought of yet that we could do to be able to get people to programs and to have more programs available.
Okay. One of the things that's been still popular in the newspaper, especially in the summertime, we don't seem to read about quite as much in the winter, is the lakes, especially Lake Chautauqua. And your district is going to be right on top of Lake Chautauqua. So what are your thoughts on the maintenance of it, the health of Lake Chautauqua? Because obviously it's a big economic machine for the county.
Yes, we have a lot of people that come to Chautauqua County to fish, to boat, and to recreation on our lake. And our lakes are beautiful, and we want them to continue to be able to do those things. And also, Chautauqua Lake is a Class A, which means that it is the source of people's drinking water, when not every lake is, but Chautauqua Lake is a Class A lake. And so, a cleaner lake, a cleaner environment. Also, our waste control is also a direct relationship. We want to keep that lake clean. But there's even biologists that don't agree with what is the right way. Here again, I'm hoping that somebody will come up with a better decision, because it's a touchy subject for a lot of people. And
What makes it touchy?
because of the fact that there are people that want to kill all the weeds
Okay, different
and
schools.
clean all the lakes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have other people that say if you put those things in the lake, then it is, ruins the environment of the lake.
So they're dealing
So
with the
it's a-
symptoms and not the cause.
Right.
Right.
Right, so it's been a constant debate for years, and I'm hoping that if I do become a county legislator, that reading the research and looking at things could help, although I do know that the county legislators don't always make the decisions on what does happen with the lake, and, you know, the DEA
But you have
is
input,
involved.
and you have influence, Right. Okay. So what about, like, what would you say as far as tourism? What would you do in that particular field? Any thoughts on how to bring more people here? We have all these assets, but,
Thought about it.
okay.
Maybe advertising it more. You see a lot of places advertise saying, come to.
Right.
We could say, come to Chautauqua County, where you can do all those things, outside, inside, not just the lake.
Barb and I travel a fair bit, and I don't ever recall seeing anything about Chautauqua County too far away from
Outside of
Chautauqua
Chautauqua
County.
County.
So I think you might be onto something there.
We have that new rest area that's still in Chautauqua County on 86. They
Bemis
could
Point,
advertise it there, Venus Point.
Yeah, because people are coming through this area constantly. So, all right, well, we're kind of winding down, about a minute and a half here. So one more question, and then I'm going to let you just go at it. So as far as taxing goes, I know that's an area you said you weren't particularly comfortable with, but if someone said they're going to raise taxes or going to lower taxes, what would you say to them?
I would work to keep taxes the way they are.
Okay.
There was just a memo from Vince Horgan that came out that said that we have maintained our tax level for quite a number of years, and people are quite happy with the fact that they're not paying more taxes. And I'm hoping when I became county legislator that I can learn more about where those taxes go.
Okay, be more educated,
Be more
and
educated.
understand the
Yep.
whole process. Right, because there's a whole balancing act between, do I raise taxes and increase services, or do I cut services so I can drop taxes? So, and then people complain, well, you're not plowing my roads enough.
Right.
Anyway, so on.
People want the services without paying the taxes, but
It's a tricky thing, but your idea of growing the businesses and tax bases, I think probably where most people are at. Ames, you are running for county legislator, and we've got about 15 seconds left, so tell the people why they should vote for you, or what you want them to know.
I want people in the area to know that I know that they work hard. I know that they want the best. I see people sharing and caring in this county every day. I really believe that I can make a difference. I can be very transparent. I plan to talk to the citizens, and I want to be there to hear them and to voice their concerns or voice their suggestions
There you go.
that they might have.
Okay. Ames, thanks for joining me today on Destination Chautauqua County. I'm Doc Ames, and this ends the series of 7 interviews that we've done with political candidates for office. November 7th is your opportunity to make your choice. Get out there and vote. They're predicting low votes this year as far as getting to the polls. So let's prove them wrong and get out there and vote, Chautauqua. I'm Doc Hamels, signing off one more time. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Take care now.